location more than once. And one neighbor made a claim that sent a chill through investigators. They said Karen didn't just drug Rolando. She'd also sedated her own daughters just so she could sneak off to parties without anyone noticing. At first, police thought that this case was about a marriage go wrong, but as they kept digging, what they found went far beyond what they expected.
Bro, in reality, the woman just crazy. There's not much you can do, shawty's just crazy.
So, with everything they heard, from the housekeeper to the neighbors, the detectives finally secured a search warrant for the home Karen and Rolando shared. And what they found inside was chilling. Tucked away in the house were half-used bottles of antifreeze, medicine droppers, and other suspicious substances. It wasn't even subtle, but it gets darker, because when they got into Karen's phone, things escalated fast.
But
She had been Googling things.
Bet she another man on everything. I put her on whoever watching this shit. Bet she another man.
Like how to kill with poison. What is the most lethal poison? And yes, how to delete search history. These weren't random searches from years ago. They were made days before Rolando fell violently ill. And if that wasn't enough, detectives also uncovered a digital receipt. Karen had bought antifreeze online just a few days before Rolando got sick. That was it. It was enough. Karen Avito was arrested and charged with Rolando's. But just when everyone thought that the case had reached its final chapter, another bombshell dropped. Relatives came forward with a quiet suspicion they had been holding on to for years. They didn't just think Karen poisoned Rolando. They believed she had also killed his 9-year-old son, Elian. Detectives immediately reopened the case, and what they uncovered backed up every suspicion. Elian had been perfectly healthy before he visited his dad in 2019, but after just a few days, he was dead. At the time, doctors called it acute poisoning, but no one could figure out how or why. But now, with new suspicions, police reran the tests, and the results were horrifying. Just like Rolando, Elian had ethylene glycol in his system. The same poison, the same pattern. Investigators checked purchase records again, and sure enough, Karen had bought antifreeze on July 2nd, 2019, right before Elian arrived at their home. And now everyone is asking, was the son even the first victim? Because what detectives heard next changed everything. Rolando's own brother came forward and told them that during a casual visit, Karen had offered him a glass of orange juice too. He drank it, and almost immediately he got sick. That was the moment everything clicked. Same poison, same method, same drink. On March 4th, 2022, prosecutor Claudia Rios officially filed new aggravated murder charges against Karen, this time for poisoning and death of Elian. The puzzle was finally coming together, but the question still remained. Why? What could possibly make a woman poison a child and the man she claimed to love? When the trial finally began, all eyes were on the courtroom. The prosecution laid it out clearly for the jury. Karen Avito had poisoned both Elian and Rolando using the exact same deadly method, ethylene glycol mixed into a glass of orange juice. A sweet, harmless-looking drink that turned out to be a death sentence. But
I'm scared. I'm scared to drink orange juice now. I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm scared. I'm scared because that's weird. That's wild. That's crazy.
Defense wasn't going down without a fight. They pushed back hard, trying to flip the narrative entirely. They painted Rolando as aggressive, even a.
Bro, that is not what that nigga named that got freaking Diddy. That nigga got Diddy free. That nigga got somebody else free. Put him on Melly case. Maybe Melly get free as well. I can't remember his name, but that's not him. You're not getting onto this one.
And claimed that Karen was the real victim here, trapped in a toxic relationship. At one point, they even implied that Rolando may have wanted to take his own life. They argued, why would she kill him? If Karen had a problem with Rolando, she could have just packed her things and left, or asked him to. And when it came to Elian, they went straight for doubt, asking the jury, what possible reason would Karen have to poison a child? She had no motive, no clear gain. In fact, they pointed out that the house, the car, the business, everything was already in her name. She didn't need to kill anyone. Then they turned to the antifreeze evidence, claiming that it was possible Rolando himself made the purchase. Maybe he even hacked into Karen's online account account to do it. And if she had already poisoned Elian back in 2019 as the prosecution claimed, why would she go online afterward and Google things like, what's the most lethal poison? Wouldn't she already know what worked? In the end, the defense's strategy was simple. They weren't just trying to prove Karen's innocence. They were trying to create just enough doubt to make the jury pause. Karen even got the chance to speak. She stood there calm, composed, and told the court that
Bro, for a woman that killed 2 people, well, allegedly, like, lock her up, cause this face look. This face
she
look
was
like
being
willing to
falsely
kill her.
accused.
So
She
this
said her
not
entire
Kim.
situation was heartbreaking, not just because of the charges, but because she was a mother herself and could never imagine doing something so monstrous. She even had people backing her up. Her ex-husband, Raul Ojeda, testified on her behalf, saying that during
Oh, she's not gonna let you hit again. She's not gonna let you hit. Stop. Stop. Stop.
their relationship, she had always been affectionate, patient, and never once showed signs of aggression or violence. To him, the Karen being described in court just didn't sound like the woman he knew. But the prosecution had been calling their witnesses, and that's when things started to unravel. Prosecutor Guzzo focused on one specific detail that raised questions early in the case. He asked Karen whether she had ever suggested that Elian be cremated after his sudden death. Karen was quick to deny it. She told the court that the decision had nothing to do with her, and that she had never suggested cremation to anyone. But that didn't match what others were saying. Soledad, Elian's mother, took the stand and told the court that after her son died, Rolando told her something deeply unsettling, that Karen had in fact suggested cremating the boy's body so both families could keep a part of him. Soledad had immediately shut down the idea. To her, it felt cold and inappropriate. She wanted her son buried in a place where she could visit him. Soledad had also shared a conversation she had with Rolando at the cemetery. He confided in her that Karen had become extremely jealous of Elian and always complained when the two spent time together. Then Carol
Bro, as a grown ass woman, how are you jealous of what? Would a nigga be like 6, 7? A 6, 7-year-old. Get a grip.
Lina, the mother of Rolando's
All
first
that shit
child,
just
was called in to
yeah, that's
testify. She confirmed what others had hinted at, that Rolando and Karen had become distant and were no longer sharing a bedroom. Carolina hadn't interacted much with Karen before all of this, but she told the court about a very strange phone call she received on the morning of February 8th. Karen had called her and said Rolando was in the hospital and wasn't feeling well. According to Karen, he had taken some kind of medication that caused a bad reaction. She also asked Carolina to help her unlock Rolando's phone, saying she'd suspected he might be talking to another woman. That immediately made Carolina suspicious. She had seen Rolando just a few days earlier, and he had seemed completely fine, no signs of illness, no complaints. Carolina rushed to the hospital to find out what was going on, but when she arrived, Karen was already with the doctors, and Carolina wasn't allowed inside. She waited outside, unsure of what to believe. Later, when Karen came out, she told Carolina that no one else was there and that everyone had already left. But something didn't feel right. Carolina pushed for answers and went straight to the hospital staff. That's when she learned the truth. Rolando had already lost consciousness and was in critical condition. He wasn't just unwell, he was unresponsive and dying. When Carolina questioned Karen again, she claimed Rolando had taken some skin medication and had a severe allergic reaction. She also said the bottle of medicine was no longer around because the housekeeper had thrown it away, the same excuse she'd given investigators. By the time all these witnesses had testified, the story Karen had so carefully built around herself had completely fallen apart. And next, it was the turn of the doctors and psychological experts to give their take on who Karen Oviedo really was, and what they revealed stunned the courtroom. The most unsettling testimony came from the psychological experts who had evaluated Karen at the request of the prosecution. The jury was presented with the results of a psychological assessment that painted a very different picture from the calm, grieving woman Karen had tried to portray. According to the examiners, Karen had deliberately lied and concealed the truth throughout the investigation. She was described as someone who worked hard to project the image of a decent, composed person, but underneath that facade, the experts saw someone cold, emotionally detached, and manipulative. alive. One of the most disturbing findings was a psychological evaluation that had been conducted right after Rolando's death, and yet it showed no signs of emotional distress or trauma related to the loss of her husband. Not even a flicker of genuine grief. Instead, the experts described Karen as self-centered, calculated, and emotionally flat. They identified signs of latent hostility.
Guys, I think as a community, we should all go to therapy. Like, I don't go no. But soon. My style.
Hostility, impulsive behavior, and a striking lack of empathy. These weren't the traits of a woman who simply snapped. These were the traits of someone capable of premeditated cruelty. The prosecutor closed with a powerful argument. He reminded the jury that Karen had purchased ethylene glycol in cold blood, carefully disguised it in orange juice, and then watched as two people who trusted her partner and his child, suffered and died. And she did nothing. After weeks of emotional testimony, damning evidence, and expert analysis, it was finally time for the jury to decide. And when they returned with their verdict, they did not hesitate. Karen Avito was found guilty on all counts. She was convicted of murdering Elian with particular cruelty and of Rolando's aggravated death through insidious means. Standing in court in a black outfit and white beaded necklace, Karen listened to the decision with no visible emotion. No tears, no reaction, nothing. She was sentenced to life in prison. The woman, once seen as a loving partner and caring stepmother, had been exposed for what she truly was, a cold, calculating killer who poisoned the people closest to her and nearly got away with it. Now everyone is asking, was the son even the first victim? Karen had lived a quiet, ordinary life. She raised children, she had multiple relationships, she ran a business, blended into her community, played the role perfectly. So how many others, exes, children, maybe even friends, came close to the same fate without ever realizing it? How many
The products I'm about to use in this video